Hello and welcome to the Narrow Way Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your old-fashioned millennial host, Kurt Anderson. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this podcast, or if you even find it revolting, don't hesitate to share it and spread the word about it so you can spread your disapproval and have others weigh in on the conversation. We certainly appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, like it. And also, don't forget to subscribe. If you have a question for us, don't feel ashamed or timid about sending us an email at noname1@gmail.com. Noname1@gmail.com. Now, I do have a question for you to start things off tonight. First of all, do you like the new live video sort of a thing? If you do, we'll make sure and start incorporating that into the program and further episodes. Now, what I'd like to talk about today is, how do you feel after Thanksgiving? Going into Christmas should be a happy time of the year, right? Yeah, not so much. Let me ask you this instead. Do you feel stupid? Well, this is a video posted by, apparently he's a comedian. I guess that's a relative term, but he's a comedian, Lee Camp. Moment of Clarity is the name of these little snippets that he doesn't have to free will whatsoever. He can have everything written down because there's no clip that's longer than 3 or 4 minutes long. Moment of Clarity. Let's find out how stupid you are.
Whenever I argue with a Republican, I talk about how important it is for a successful society to care for those who aren't able to care for themselves. And the standard Republican response is, I worked hard for my money, and if they want more money or to be able to retire or whatever, then they should work harder and get a better job.
Okay, that's right. If you would like to live more comfortably, if you would like to do better, if you would like to have more discretionary income, if you'd like to retire at an earlier age, you work harder. You move up they call it a corporate ladder for a reason. That's what you do. The problem with socialism, and this is obviously what this guy is, I guarantee you he's a hippy-dippy Bernie baby, Mr. Camp. The problem with socialism is they try to make everybody the same. They try to make sure that everybody lives the same way, that their income is the same. But what happens, and in reality is, instead of bringing the people down at the bottom up, they bring the people at the top down. Do you see the problem with socialism? Sure, everybody might be on the same footing, but if one person has 10 cows and the other person has 1 cow, instead of giving that other person 10 cows so they're both equal, they take 10 away, they kill off 8 of them, give the other guy the 1, and then they each have 1 cow. Capitalism says maybe the one guy has 10 cows, the poor fella has 1 cow, but if he works hard, he can get to 2 and 3 and 4, and the other guy still has 10. All boats rise on a rising tide. Some just rise a little slower than the others. So, sure, if you want to retire, if you want to have health care, if you want to have all of these wonderful things that Bernie says you should have, work harder. But that's what most Republicans would say. Here's what to tell those snarky, stupid Republicans when they say something like that.
And there's a lot of reasons this response is ridiculous, but they never seem to matter much to people who just think, why don't they work harder?
Well, because that's the whole point. Once again, work harder. You rise along with the other guy's boat. Everybody rises on a rising tide. All boats. So, I don't know why we should change that response. But Mr. Camp will give us an idea why we should, because we've been wrong this entire time.
So I have a new answer. Maybe it'll work. Here it is. What about the stupid people? What about the stupid people? And I don't mean your friend who had Hello Kitty shaved in the back of his head on a dare. I'm talking about downright stupid people, slow people, not bright people. A lot of this country and the world is stupid. Literally born with a lower IQ. And whether it's because their parents were slow or because their mom thought sniffing whiteout during pregnancy would make the child a natural born spelling bee champion, doesn't matter. The person is just not right. He or she does not have the option of being a nurse or a doctor, a lawyer, or manager of a restaurant. They may work hard their whole life, but because of their God-given brains or lack thereof, are never able to move up.
Wrong. It's just wrong. It's not a lack of brains that's keeping the schmuck that gave me my McGriddle today at McDonald's working the grill. It's not because he doesn't have a 135 IQ like most of the CEOs do. And as a matter of fact, the CEOs of most major companies and the captains of industry, so to speak, are not statistically that much smarter than everyone else. The average IQ in the USA, according to brainstats.com, is 98 IQ points. The average IQ of a CEO, according to CNN, as reliable as they can be, is give or take 115. Statistically speaking, that's not much brighter, that much smarter than anyone else. But maybe that guy and the CEO, man or woman, put in long nights. Maybe they showed up early. Maybe they were on time. Maybe when they had the sniffles, they still showed up to work. That is the reason certain people get ahead and certain people are destined to fail, because they're lazy, welfare queen slobs who don't really want to work. They're doing the bare minimum to get by and still cash their welfare check and their housing money. People buy beer and cigarettes with food stamps. That's well documented. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they're lazy. It's because they've got Obama phones. Everybody got an Obama phone. That's the whole point of this. It's not because they're stupid. It's because they're taking a good thing, a good system, a needed system called welfare, and they're abusing it. Not because they're stupid, because they're, once again, just like the immigrants, chipping the system. And we wonder what happens. Welfare. People don't move up the corporate ladder like they should and like they could. They're stuck in these low-paying jobs. Now, you want to talk about how people can't be a doctor and they can't be a lawyer and they can't be a dentist and they can't be a whatever. No, but they could be a welder. You don't have to have a whole lot of brains to be a welder. What you do have to do is have a strong back. You have to have a desire to get up, make money, put in your due, and then you've got a fairly handsome check to go home and cash. Now, it's not going to be any Fortune 500 CEO cash, but you're going to have a living wage and you're going to earn it like you should, according to Indeed.com. Average welder's annual salary is $34,000. According to the Labor Department, a garbage man's salary is $40,000. Now, that's not the X number of millions that Steve Jobs made, and Steve Jobs had 160 IQ. But it doesn't have to be. These people can live off of $34,000 and $40,000 a year. It's a very livable salary, and they're putting in 40 hours, sure, but they have the opportunity to climb the corporate ladder. And once you start as an apprentice welder, or as soon as you start working on the bad routes as a garbage collector, then you can start driving the truck. Maybe someday you'll own a truck. Maybe someday you'll own the entire garbage collecting business. And that is a good thing. That is how capitalism works. You start at the bottom. You don't expect to be serving fries at McDonald's for a career. Maybe you can manage the McDonald's. And no, you don't have to have 160 IQ to do that. Do you feel stupid yet? Just wait. It gets better.
They're stuck in a low-level job. Sure, they can for their families, but in a dumb way. So the question is, shouldn't this society that allowed you to live your relatively rich, fully realized life allow
Very classy.
that poor, dumb person to get health care and take care of their kids?
Okay, so most families are a two-income household. The mom works, the dad works. If each of them make a welder's salary, that's not difficult to ascertain. $34,000, that means they're making $70,000 a year. Now, assuming you don't live in a Democrat-run state like Illinois, like New York, like DC, like California, and you don't have to spend 50% of that $70,000 in taxes and property taxes and sales tax and income tax. Assuming you don't have to do that, you should be able to tire on average with everyone else in the country, and you should be able to live a somewhat comfortable, normal life without having to go on the welfare doles. This schmuck doesn't get it. Lee Camp, do Do you feel stupid yet?
Would you insist that a person born with no arms just work harder if they want to eat? No? Then what about someone born with the intellectual equivalent of no arms?
I'd tell him to get a job answering phones. I heard this story of a friend of mine who used to take care of a guy. He was a quadriplegic. And he was, by all standards, a millionaire because he traded stocks. Now, sure, he had a high IQ, sure, and he didn't have any arms or legs, but you don't have to be a millionaire in order to sit at a phone bank and make phone calls. Do you have a landline? Do you have a cell phone? Because telemarketers are calling incessantly. And you mean to tell me you can't do that even if you don't have any arms? Okay, and then the intellectual people that they're stunted and they don't have intellectual arms, I guess. No. Just because you don't have 160 IQ does not mean that little Billy Bob whatchamacallit, who just barely got his GED, can't pick up garbage. He can't weld. Of course you can weld. You can learn how to weld in 6 weeks. That's all it takes. No student loans, no college debt. Don't have to spend 4 years of your life going to college to learn how to become a welder. You can make a living income doing stuff like this. You don't have to be bright to sell cars. You don't have to be smart in order to make a living wage. Furthermore, you don't even have to have both of your arms.
They can't pass the necessary tests. They don't make good decisions. How about we?
Okay, good decisions. The government is not in the position and not in the business, at least they very well shouldn't be in the business, to fix your bad decisions. It's called life. We all make bad decisions. It's not the government's job to bail you out. You make a bad decision, you have to face the consequences. So in other words, if I went to the boat and I lost the house, the mortgage, the car, the savings account, all of my assets at the boat because of a bad decision. I put it on red 42 and I should have put it on black 36. That does not mean, Mr. Camp, that the government should bail me out. It was my bad decision. You should show some initiative and accept the responsibility. Low IQ is not what stops people from getting ahead. If you want to get ahead, you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have an outstanding IQ. What you need are the following: common sense, loyalty, honesty, integrity, and a strong work ethic. Show up when the boss says to show up. Classic examples. Don't let your appearance be the reason for your disappearance. If you are supposed to be selling cars and everybody at the place is wearing a tie when you went to go interview, and you show up in bib overalls and a t-shirt, you're probably not going to climb that corporate ladder. If you are told to be there at 1 o'clock for your shift, that is when your shift starts. There is no such thing as on time. You're either early or you're late. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. If you show up for that 1 o'clock shift at 1:30 consistently, you're probably not going to climb the social ladder. This is indeed the problem with society. Well, I didn't show up and I'm stuck in this low-paying job and I can't live on 20 grand a year from the McDonald's. Show up on time. Show up on time. Be honest. If you burn the burgers, tell somebody you burnt the burgers. It's not that hard. And it will be rewarded.
One of the most resource-rich countries on the planet. Take care of these dumb people.
Okay, well, if we are, once again, do you feel stupid yet? You know, this guy, he is really, really a great comedian because he makes me laugh and he's not even trying to be funny. If we are the most resource-rich country in America, or in the world rather, if America is the most resource-rich country, including labor, including natural resources, including wealth per capita, and we are, it shows, according to Wikipedia, I think, that we're, what are we? Like, tied for 11th on the list of high IQs. America is not an exceptionally smart country. All the people ahead of us, once again, According to Wikipedia, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, China, Taiwan, Italy, Iceland, Mongolia, Switzerland, Austria. That's just to name a few. I'm not even halfway through to the United States yet. We're tied with a whole bunch of other countries as being ninth on the list of IQ. And there are a lot of countries farther ahead because there are a lot of ties. We're ranked ninth. But yet, as far as poverty goes, we're in the very high percentile of poverty in this country per capita as compared with the rest of the world. You understand that poverty and being a stupid person, like Mr. Camp says, they don't go hand in hand. They're not tied together in some sort of a marriage. If you're stupid, you're poor. Ben Shapiro, I've heard him say it many times online on his videos. He's got statistics on this. You have to do 3 things in order to make sure that you're not stuck in poverty in this country your entire life. 3 things. You can't have babies before you get married. You have to graduate high school. And you have to get a job and keep the job. And if you do those 3 things, it's virtually guaranteed statistically that you're not going to be trapped in poverty and below the poverty line your entire life. That's why capitalism works, and that's why this stupid notion of socialism doesn't. Look at Venezuela. Look at the Nordic countries. Socialism doesn't work. Look at the USSR. Look at Berlin. Look at Germany during 1942 all the way through to the Cold War. It doesn't work. Socialism never has, it never will. That's why capitalism is so wonderful. You do these 3 things, you're not going to live in poverty forever. Once again, not that difficult. Moment of clarity. Boy, do I feel stupid now. This is the Narrow Way Podcast. Thank you all for listening and clicking in. Don't forget, like it if you like it. Subscribe if you like it. Be notified. Click the notification bell in the top right corner, which would be here. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget the email address is noname1pod@gmail.com. Certainly appreciate you clicking in today. We will talk to you again soon.